Have you noticed that as everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It is the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom. Do you know why? You gave them the power. You gave them the power.
Many have submitted religious or medical exemptions, but not all of those exemptions are being granted.
Fox 12's Drew Marine tells us the difference between two major healthcare systems in the area and also how healthcare workers are reacting.
Here in Silverton, close to 100 healthcare workers and their families came out to the Legacy campus to leave shoes and notes behind as a final goodbye because they didn't want to get the vaccine or their exemption wasn't approved. Shoes, water bottles, and emotional notes are all lining the entrance to Legacy's Silverton emergency room, a demonstration from healthcare workers there whose religious exemption was denied or they're choosing not to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
We are just laying it down because there's nothing else we can do right now. Our hands are tied. We're still employees, but we're not fired yet, but we're put on admin leave.
Amy has been with Legacy for 15 years and says she's heartbroken to leave her colleagues and patients, but she's not willing to compromise her religious beliefs to get the shot. This means she's out of a job October 19th, just one day after the state's deadline for healthcare workers to be fully vaccinated.
So I went with my religious exception because my body is a temple for the Holy Spirit, and that's what I believe firmly. And to be forced is wrong. It's against our rights, anyone's rights. I don't care if you're religious or not.
The Oregon Nurses Association says they've heard most exemptions at the Silverton Legacy Hospital have been denied, claiming the hospital system is doing blanket rejections. However, a Legacy spokesperson says they have done a thorough review of each exemption. Meanwhile, a Providence employee who's worked there for 6 years says in a meeting Wednesday she was told they're approving almost all exemptions. She wants to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation on the job.
And that the approval rate for those exemptions are at 96.7%, and that they foresee continuing that approval rate of 96.7%. Find that out, that is a very high approval rate, considering that it sounds like the other hospital systems in the region are more at 10% or lower in the approval rate for the religious exemptions.
She says she's not only concerned for the health of her patients and colleagues, but that she'll lose several more employees at a time they're already stretched thin.
It's just going to create a lot of conflict for staff. I think that we're seeing caregivers say that they don't feel comfortable working with unvaccinated caregivers.
We asked Providence about these numbers, but they say right now 90% of their Oregon employees are vaccinated. That means 2,300 are left, which a spokesperson says means the employees are still waiting for their exemption to be processed, or they haven't decided what to do yet. They don't have exact numbers yet on who has been approved or denied. Legacy employees had to be fully vaccinated by today. Meanwhile, Providence employees have until Monday to get their final shot to be in compliance with the state's deadline of October 18th. In Silverton, Drew Marine, Fox 12 Oregon.